Hi everyone and welcome back to the Paperless Movement YouTube channel. I'm Tom Solid and I'm excited to talk today to Redline and actually to the founders of Redline, which is a new upcoming app that allows you to create your presentations on the go on your iPad. And this is really awesome because, as you know, in these interview series, I interview my inner circle members where they showed their productivity system and the challenges they had, but also CEOs and product managers of the latest and greatest software and hardware solutions when it comes to productivity. And this certainly is something very interesting to look at, but what we can expect there and what new innovative ways they use when it comes to using an Apple Pencil creating your presentations, this is something really exciting to look at. So without further ado, let's dive into it. All right, everyone, I'm so excited to welcome to the next interview here, Kate and Mikhail from Redline. And now you might wonder, what the heck? What is Redline? Yeah, it is not there yet, but it is pretty exciting, I think. I got in contact with them via Twitter, and it is an app on the iPad using an Apple Pencil, creating presentations, and far more than that. And I don't want to go into detail. I want to let them tell this. So why don't you just introduce yourself, Kate and Mika?
Sure.
Hi, Tom. So first of all, thank you so much for having us today. And my name is Kate. I'm the CMO and co-founder of Redline. I come from a background of media communications and investor relations. I have more than 5 years of experience in this field. So in Redline, I actually cover and focus on building relationships with B2B and B2C markets through social networks and media.
And my name is Mikhail. I'm a co-founder and CEO of this business. Basically, I'm responsible for the business development, for the strategy, and for the vision for the Redline app. And all my life, I've been working in corporate finance. It's pretty boring, and now I think it's the right time to change, the pace of life and start something new. So during this presentation or during this session, we'll try to explain what we are going to do and what is Redline and why we want to do this.
Yeah, really excited to learn now more about this. So thank you very much for your introduction. When I look at your surnames or your last names, they look pretty similar, except one letter. So I can't even pronounce it right, I think. Maybe you should do this. But are you married?
Yes, we are married. Well, it's actually like, if we are saying this in Russian, then it's pronounced as Roguchev. But then, when you turn it into English, then it starts sounding something like Roguchev and Rogucheva, because you add an A for my surname. But yes, we are married.
Okay, so that's a thing in Russia then, adding an A in the end of the female, of the wife, of the female. Of the yeah, of the wife's name.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I have to stop laughing because my earbuds are falling out this way. All right. So yeah, thank you very much for letting us this know. I think that's pretty interesting. I didn't know about that. Probably a lot of other Russians watching this laughing now as well. But I know that you just prepared also a short presentation. I will feel free to ask questions in between, but I think looking at it, it looked very great, and I want to share this with the community as well. So why don't you just walk us through this presentation you have there, and we see whenever a question comes up, be sure I'll interrupt you.
Sure.
Absolutely. And probably before, diving into the presentation, let me say a few words about Redline itself.
Yeah, sure.
So Redline is the mobile innovative presentation app that allows you to create and edit presentations on the go in seconds. So just imagine you have a flight. Let's imagine we are leave, after the COVID, normal way of things. So, and you have a flight from London to Rome, which lasts about 2.5 hours, and you need to create a couple of slides or even a presentation, or let's say you need to edit it, right? So the traditional way of doing things, you need the laptop, you need PowerPoint, and ideally you need to have an internet connection. So Redline basically helps you doing this, very quickly and in the most convenient way. So the only thing you need is your iPad, your Apple Pencil, and Redline app downloaded on your iPad. So, when you create presentations, you need to, keep in mind a lot of things. So when you use Redline app, you just need to think about the content and about the messages. That's it. So right after that, you take your Apple Pencil and you start doing things like you would do on paper. So you write text, draw charts, write some things, and everything is being converted into the properly prepared objects immediately and offline. So, and then the app allocates the objects, in the right places on the slides, adjust the design, make it really consistent with the overall presentation, and it happens for about, 5 seconds, or okay, let's say up to 10 seconds, okay? And that's one page. Then you spend about a couple of minutes, another page, and the whole presentation will take up to, let's say, 5-10 minutes. It's something incredible, and we hope, this will help people to really improve their, productivity and really enjoy what they are doing, on a daily basis. And a part of that, it will definitely, save time. It will support mental health, and obviously it will support the paperless movement, which I think is probably one of the important modern trends, in the modern world. So that's briefly about Redline app, and Kate can talk more about the name. So how did we come up with this name?
So yeah, just when we started to think about the name, obviously we wanted to come up with something catchy, memorable, but at the same time related to the product. And that's why we decided to go with the term redlining, which is often used in the corporate world when you make different changes to your documents, to your presentations, and you do it using red ink. So that's pretty much, in the name. It's very simple, but at the same time, very memorable. And that's why we decided to choose this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
absolutely.
I also want to mention something what Mikhail just said. He said that it is very effective, or you can be very productive in the plane creating these presentations and all this. I think there's also another advantage you have with such an app compared to creating it on a laptop using a PowerPoint, which is the intuitive work you do there. So you can use Apple Pencil, you can draw and write and all this, and this is why so many people actually love the iPad. Just for this reason, your brain just works a different way, having this feedback of a pen. We will dive into this later when we talk about alternatives like PowerPoint and so on. Obviously, they also have Apple Pencil support. I know already what will come there and why Redline has an advantage, so I don't want to wait any longer. Keep on.
All right, so that's briefly about the app, about the name, and about the objectives. So what we have right now is a small team of about 4 or 5 people in place, but we cover all key functions, which are the business development and vision and strategy for the business, the marketing and social networks, the app development itself, and the UX UI development as well. So we think that this small team is pretty experienced and highly committed to execute the strategy and deliver this product to the market. So what we've done so far, this summer we launched the MVP, and we have received pretty positive feedbacks on the idea and on the concept of this application. People think it's a really game changer for the world of presentations, and it will change how we create and edit presentations on a daily basis. It's probably not for the retail customers, for people who are doing presentations, on an ad hoc basis, but it's more for the business professionals, for corporate clients, and for other education and people from education. And Kate will speak about this a bit later. But for now, so after the MVP, we are now fully focused on developing the engine and delivering a more advanced, end customer version of the application by spring next year.
So when we think about which are our key customer groups, we're actually focusing on both B2C and B2B markets. In B2C, we have two target audiences. The first one will be business professionals, which is the main one. And the secondary one is education. So educate people who come from educational field. For B2B, we're focusing on corporate clients, huge firms, which include banks, consultancies, law firms. And I would say that both of these markets, both B2C and B2B, they are united by that all the professionals there, they actually work a lot with presentations. So their workload is quite high, as well as the demand. And they all come from top business hubs that include this includes London, New York, Singapore, so pretty much all around the world. And yes, so these are the customers that we are focusing on. We are starting with B2C, but we are planning to move into B2B quite soon as well.
And I would probably just add on this point, if you think about the corporate clients, this customer group is probably the most lucrative for any business, and particularly for the presentation tools. But to capture or to get access to that customer group, it's pretty difficult. I mean, probably PowerPoint is the most dominating player in this particular market segment. But you would probably ask us, so how you really plan to get there? And the answer to that question comes from our work experience. So both Kate and I, we've been working in corporates, in particular in London, for pretty long, and we have created really, good relationships with the players, with the people in place. So who are really, doing presentations on a daily basis, and we have access to these people. So when we have this B2B version of the app, which should be more advanced and should have some really more comprehensive features, right? So we plan to really, use this relationship and get access to these people and get a feedback from first hands. And we believe that this context will play the most important part in our storyline.
So you just mentioned PowerPoint. All right. And this also comes up to my mind. And I'm in corporate for more than 7 years now, and I'm known for my presentations on PowerPoint. I would consider myself as a PowerPoint expert as well. And now with things like coming up like Pitch and also Prezi on the place and so on, I think you have a really highly competitive place there. And we mentioned it in the beginning already, the iPad also provides now PowerPoint versions and the Apple Pencil support. And you're telling me that you want to position yourself in the corporate world, so not for education, something I don't understand really, because certainly education has a lot to do with presentations as well. If I just think about episode 2 of my interview series, where I had the paperless professor on there, she would be certainly interested to learn more about your app. But I understand from the positioning point of view that makes absolutely sense. And now we have the high competitive tools there that you want to compete with I say now, a simple iPad app where you can draw some diagrams. And now you tell me and prove me wrong how you want to tackle this.
I mean, if you look at the market, right? So there are hundreds of names or applications which are helping you to create, or edit presentations. But if you look at the market value, I mean, the segments which really get value for the app developers, there are not many. There are not many applications which really earn money here, and there are basically just 3 top players which hold roughly 95% of the market value. And these 3 names are PowerPoint, Keynote, and Slides, Google Slides, right? And then I think if we look at the market split, a part of these top 3 players, we also have, I would say, disruptors, the companies, the startups, which were, formed probably a couple of years ago, but they have really good support from investors and from the customers, and they have quite extensive or I would say high growth in their business development. For example, Peach, Canva, or Prezi, and they really have good chances to gain market share here. And then we have lots of names who are very niche market players. I don't want to say some specific names, but I believe that these guys, they mostly provide services for free, or they solve just one probably issue. And most of the time, those companies, they are copies of existing platforms. But if you look at Redline, this storyline is, in our view, is different. So we're not trying to compete with PowerPoint, Redline, Keynote, or Google Slides. We're not trying to gain market share here. It's almost impossible, right? These guys, they capture the whole corporate world, and obviously it's impossible to compete there. But let's take a look where they are playing their roles. They are the most important apps in the web and desktop versions. So when you work at your desktop, obviously PowerPoint will be the number one. But if you look at your iPad or tablet, have you ever done any presentation on your iPad? I don't think so. I don't think
I think PowerPoint or Microsoft and Apple, they would claim, oh, that's so easy to do. But I absolutely agree. It's tedious to create presentations on your iPad. And that's really the interesting point.
Yeah, but in fact, if you ask people on practice, people prefer getting presentations in PDF, probably markup, and send back to people who are working in PowerPoint on desktop. I mean, they are not trying to do it on their iPads.
Yes.
So with Redline, we now create a new dimension in the market breakdown. We are creating dimension of mobile devices. And we believe it's the future of the world, especially after the COVID had hit the industry, right? We now work remotely. We probably don't travel now, but we will travel, going forward. And I believe we will start flying again. And mobile devices obviously will play a very important role. Consumption of mobile devices has been growing even throughout this year. Yeah. And we believe that the applications for mobile devices will need to be developed, and particular in the presentation area. So here we have a great available market niche. We have really modern technologies like digital ink recognition, which supports the modern trends like paperless movement, right? And I think we have a great team in place who's ready and committed to develop this application and deliver it, in time to people, and to make their life better and more enjoyable, particularly when they work with presentations. So I think it's important to keep that in mind, that Redline, it's not a typical story, for this market. Redline is a new angle, for this market, where you need to, where you have multiple things in one dot, I would say. So in one place, sorry. So you have modern technologies, you have highly experienced and committed team, you have mobile devices, and you have, paperless movement. So all this, gives us the opportunity to, get into the leadership positions from the beginning, I would say.
Yeah, I understand this. I hear you. And I absolutely get the point that there is not, I agree, there is not something on the iPad that gives you the possibility to create proper presentations. I know that many use the note-taking apps on the iPad, like Notability, GoodNotes, and they have some presentation mode. And, that is not a professional presentation as we know it when we talk about PowerPoint. And so I agree there's a niche there. One thing that comes to my head, and I'm sure plenty in my audience have the same question now. How powerful is Redline then when I'm creating presentations? So when I look at PowerPoint and keynotes and so on, I agree. It's very limited when you have to create this on your iPad. I'm sure many in the audience will disagree, and we will read this down there. But looking at this, and people certainly get in mind maybe apps like Nebo, where you can draw some diagrams, double tap, and you have already a diagram there. You can, convert these things and export it into PowerPoint later on. And then, as you said, go back to your laptop and make the presentations there. What you're saying there is that you can create presentations end to end in Redline that you actually use. So and this also means to me then that everybody should have Redline to actually run the presentation. And if you want to get into B2B, because it makes just sense that everybody uses Redline, so it is one ecosystem you're living in. So the question is then, is it only one ecosystem, or are you open and you can export it into a PowerPoint presentation? So I have a proper presentation inside PowerPoint without retouching afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And I would say from the beginning that we're not trying to replace PowerPoint. We're trying to create a presentation assistant, I would say, who would help you to work with your routine work on the go, in the most convenient way. And I would make a quick highlight here. I mean, we're not talking just about writing text and charts, right? We are talking about communicating to your app. And you would ask me how. Basically, you have some action words. And for example, if you need, let's say, a map on a slide, what do you usually do? You find a map you somewhere in the public domain, try to copy paste it on your slide, or probably you have some built-in add-ons which allow you to do that. Mm-hmm. With Redline, you can just write text, say, please add a map. So let's say a global map, you want to put it on the slide, or for example, you want to have a map of Europe and, show Frankfurt,
well,
Zurich,
that's interesting.
And Paris.
Yeah. Now we are talking.
Right.
Yeah.
So just think about that. And the most interesting thing is that it's real. And we have, this concept in place. Obviously, it's just think about this. It's like speaking to Jarvis or speaking to Siri.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You just ask the presentation app, put an icon based on the content. Mm-hmm. And it will generate the icon based on, keywords which you have in text. For example, financial performance, it will show mini column chart there. And that's the whole, point of this app. We're trying to create a presentation assistant. And from my work experience, I made a lot of presentations in my life and even more markups. And when you ask your colleagues to implement or incorporate the markup or the comments or annotations which you have on the slides, it takes probably a couple of hours. Here it will take probably, I don't know, 5
so
minutes.
I'm really interested in this. Do you have any AI in place to achieve this then?
Yes, indeed. And that's the part of the storyline. We are developing this. So if you look under the hood, we have this recognition engine. And it's not a secret. We're using, a recognition engine developed by Google, and it's, comparing to MVP. In MVP, we used Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services. Here, we're going to use Google ML Kit, which was introduced probably a couple of months ago. And it's beautiful. It works offline. It has support of 15 languages. It's great. The only thing we need is to add some smart algorithms, which would avoid, some crazy mistakes, flaws. And when we speak about these action words, again, it's not a rocket science. It's, I think it's just a matter of understanding what people want or the customer needs. Right? You need to understand what the customer really want to say, and that's the problem. Not many people understand that, and you need to have really good work experience for that. You need to understand what's on their mind, and we think both Kate and I, we have accumulated sufficient, knowledge and understanding of the customer needs here.
Yeah, that's interesting. So. And this is what really caught my eye when I was looking at Redline and the opportunity there. So obviously you also will need a lot of machine learning and some people who use this app in order to train it. So how do you want to prepare this until next year spring? Do you have some audience already using the apps, or can you get data that already trained the AI in some way or form?
So, for now, I think we are trying to, use our work experience first. So we are trying to, implement the action words or create a library of words based on our work experience. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when we launch the open beta version, of the B2C actual version of the app, we will try to expand quite rapidly and promote the product across various regions, including Asia and America. And yes, we will need a lot of support from people, from potential users, and we hope they will cooperate with us, because again, the purpose of this app is to make people's life better and more enjoyable.
So if some of my listeners or viewers here are interested to support you with, getting the data and improving the app, is there already a closed alpha or something they could sign up to where they can test the app and also deliver the data that you need to improve the machine learning?
We would greatly appreciate any support from the customer or from people who are interested in this.
Yeah, and they can definitely go to our website. We have a special button there, and they can sign up for any updates from us. And then we will, if obviously it's okay with them, we will collect their emails. And once the open beta is there, we will be happy to forward it to them so they can try it out.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but I would also highlight that the quality of the product is probably the most important part here, and we will do our best to deliver the end customer version to people and avoid any irritating messages saying, "Come on, it's not complete yet." There are lots of types. We'll try to do our best to have a high quality product first. Yeah. It's very important.
I highly appreciate that. I hate nothing more than unfinished products delivered.
Exactly.
So you said the right thing here.
It's very important to understand that right now we are at the, so the product that we have right now is MVP, and lots of some customers might not fully understand what this means, but pretty much when we created MVP, it was for testing if there is any hunger for this product, to see if it's actually interesting to people. And yes, as it was mentioned before, right now it has some flaws, and the engine might not work as we would like it to work, but that's okay because it's just the beginning, and we are striving for open beta to be so much better than MVP. Yeah. But yes, we would love to for people to participate, perhaps not in MVP product, but more in open beta. So just to collect their, contacts in order to share the next version with them.
Yeah. So if anyone out there is listening or watching this on YouTube, then feel free. I will put the links into the description below, so you can go and check this out. Certainly, I really like the trailer you made there. That's really high quality already. So I'm really looking forward to see more there. Okay, all of this sounds awesome, and it seems you have already a plan in place, and I think it's interesting for people to know what there is on the horizon. So when you're talking about spring 2021, which is still a while, what is your roadmap after that? I mean, in spring 2021, you will deliver the finished version, or the open beta will start there? And then what will come after this?
So in spring 2021, we want to launch the open beta version and to the customers who already approached us, and to other potential customers who would be interested in this kind of applications. But then obviously for the next 3 months, we'll try to achieve the product market fit and make sure that the customers are really excited working with this application, that it's really important for them to have this application on their iPad and use it on a daily basis. So, and then in summer 2021, when we have some traction, when we have the product market fit and we have the product in place, we'll try to raise capital to expand our operations globally, particularly for the B2C version, but also we'll start developing the B2B version, which will be a much more advanced version for the corporate clients. It will have some nice features like integration of some third-party applications, and the action words, communicate, the ability to communicate to your app as we just discussed. And that's the plan for the autumn 2021. And then until summer 2022, we'll try to achieve up to 1 million customers for the B2C version. And we believe it's possible based on our work experience and based on that user experience, which we want to implement into the app. And in summer 2022, we will launch the B2B version, and we will start, communicating this to our prospective corporate clients. And in summer 2023, we will hopefully achieve the product market fit for the B2B version as well. So that's a pretty, I would say, complex and heavy roadmap for the next 3 years, but we believe we have the right team in place. We're a highly committed team, and we have right experience and contacts in place. So we believe these people can execute this strategy and achieve success for after the next.
And I wish you that you will have the success. I'm really looking forward to test the open beta then in spring, and I think this will be the point when we have our next interview talking about your success story until then. But one major question I think also a lot of people have. You're talking here about the iPad, isn't it? So not all the companies, even the big companies, provide iPads to their employees, and they heavily rely on Windows laptops or maybe then Android versions. So do you only target iPads, or do you plan to get it onto other devices as well?
We do plan to get this app on other devices as well, but as a starting point, we want to use iPads. Basically, the customers of iPads, the people who are buying iPads, they have the ability, or they prefer buying high quality products, and they are ready to pay for that. And we believe, particularly the corporates using iPads will be ready to, pay for the user experience, for the unique user experience which Redline will potentially, offer.
But then, what about the friction between iPad and the laptop? So will there be for example, a Mac app where I can access these presentations then later on? Or how do you present? So you expect people only presenting via iPad?
Some presentations will be accessible through the web application as well. Obviously, we will have web platform as well, and it probably will be developed in simultaneously. But as we discussed, previously, we will have the ability to convert Redline presentations into some other formats like PDF, PowerPoint, and Keynote, because despite our ambitious goal, we believe Redline won't be a replacer, or it will not replace PowerPoint, but it will supplement the users of PowerPoint on mobile devices. Yeah. So we will kind of work in parallel with PowerPoint. They will dominate on desktops. We will try to get the leadership on mobile devices.
Yeah. We don't try to limit our future users. We just want to create an app, create a soft that will be, as we mentioned before, like an assistant to them, but not to limit and so just let them do what they want to do with it.
I absolutely appreciate it. If you're one of my Inner Circle members, then you know what I'm talking about. It's all about connecting the dots. And when I'm talking about productivity systems, they need to be connected. So each tool you use needs to be seamlessly integrated with others. So you have one single source of truth you can leverage on one knowledge management. And as soon as I have to import things, this is already a friction point. So you also planning to have something like APIs or integrations like that where you synchronize with other platforms?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that's what we're currently discussing internally, in our team, how we're going to leverage our platform engine going forward, because we will likely allow other developers create some applications which will be integrated in our app, and ultimately the purpose of this is to just get more a variety of features inside this app. So ultimately people will use Redline on their mobile devices to create not only the corporate presentations, but some other types of presentations for design, for IT purposes, and some others. Because we understand the market, the broader presentation market is obviously very extensive, and we can't capture this from the beginning. But if we allow developers to help us with this, we will grow quite rapidly.
Yeah, you start at the top, the other way around, as many people try to do. But certainly, as I said, the education market, but also the creatives, certainly there are so many opportunities for people who are presenting things and who are creative and want to have the intuitive input style that you want to deliver with Redline. This all really sounds interesting. So you mentioned already where people can find you. As I said, I will put all the information down below. Anything you want to let my community know before we close the interview?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say a few words about the vision for Redline, because, I mean, for now we are focusing on delivering this app, but what's next, right? We believe that this type of user experience can be used across many types of documents, not only in presentations, but also working with documents and some other types of documents. So we believe that there are also some other cognitive services which can be used instead of handwriting recognition, like voice recognition and some others. So the potential for this project, we believe, is huge, and the purpose of this effort is to make people's life better and make an impact, basically. So for your audience, we first of all thank you very much for your attention, and we appreciate this great, and thank you, Tom, a lot for this opportunity. We think it's really great to see you today, to speak to you today, and we hope that people will like what we are doing, and ultimately they will try our app. And we are obviously waiting for the feedback, and any feedback would be highly appreciated.
Yeah, trust me, you will get feedback from my community. We are a very honest audience here, and I think that's really important. And if you listen carefully, you can really make great products out of it. So that's why I love what I do as well. I grew this business just by the feedback of my audience, and I think that's really the key feature any company needs to have nowadays, listening to your customer, and then you're ready to go. So I can't wait, Kate and Mikael, to meet you again in spring. I would say that's set already. Even if you fail until then, I want to know, but I hope that you will succeed and you will deliver everything you just mentioned here. And I cannot wait to learn more about this. Have a great time until then.
Thank you, Tom. Thank
See
you
you
very
soon.
much. See you.
So I think this was a really interesting insight into how Redline could become a new way to create your presentations on the go. In my opinion, I think it's crucial to make it easy to integrate with existing tools such as PowerPoint or Keynotes to export my presentations, or rather even sync my presentations with these tools. So this could be really on the go tool for me to create presentations on my iPad rather than using a laptop, but then fine-tune it on my laptop later on. I'm really excited to get access to the beta. Of course, if you want to stay tuned and want to see how this works out, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll catch you up next time.